beauties, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm sharing an in-depth review of the brand new Les Beige Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream from Chanel. This replaced the iconic Soleil de Chanel, which has been around for years, and I didn't think I would ever see this go anywhere. They were supposed to be the same, but now we know they are different. The ingredients are different, the texture isn't quite the same, but you can still use this exactly the same way. So in today's video, we will compare the old to the new, and I'll also share some different ways that you can use the new cream bronzer. First things first, I want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room, because the brand new Les Beige Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream does contain hydrogenated coconut oil in the formula, whereas the Soleil de Chanel did not. It's the second ingredient listed, and I know a lot of people are up in arms over this. They've expressed to me that they are really concerned. Some people have told me that they're allergic or that they've used products with that ingredient in the past and they've developed a rash. It is best to err on the side of caution if that is the case. If you've ever experienced irritation, avoid this product at all costs. Don't even give it the benefit of the doubt. It is just too difficult, and I know I've been there, to get your skin back on track or to get your skin in a good place after you've experienced rash, breakout, some sort of allergic reaction. It's just not worth it. But I will say this, I can't tell you what's good or bad for your skin, but if you're just sort of assuming that it may not work for you, I would say test it out. As long as you're not allergic, it's worth waiting until this is available at counters and stores are open again. Do a little patch test. I think a lot of people are assuming that it's going to be problematic for them, but I will tell you this. I know that Chanel made this decision to change this product a long time ago, and they always thoroughly research, thoroughly test any new product before it hits the market. This product is formulated for the face, so there is a good possibility that this will work for you. If you're not willing to risk it, that is completely understandable and that is your prerogative. But if you are somebody who loved Soleil de Chanel and you are going to miss the old formula, if you're sort of on the fence, you're just not sure what to think about this new Les Beige, I say try it out, see for yourself, make up your own mind. You may be pleasantly surprised. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that the old formula wasn't exactly clean, and I remember hearing from a lot of people in the past that this would irritate them. Some people couldn't use the original Soleil de Chanel for one reason or another. It is chock full of parabens, which are not in the new formula. The new formula also contains Kalanchoe extract, which is that main botanical that they throw in all of the Les Beige products, so it has that Les Beige smell now as well. And that's a great skincare ingredient. It helps the skin to naturally protect itself. Now let's talk about the colors. I did not think that this would be very controversial, but in my last video, people keep telling me that they think it looks different when I did my collection review. I will say that I had been swatching a lot of products on my arm. I had some eyeshadow swatch, some lipstick swatch, and there were some remnants on my arm which could have altered it. So we're gonna do it again today. And I think my eyes are deceiving me. I don't even trust my own opinion here, because when I looked at it in person, I thought it was the same. When I watched the video back, I did think the Soleil de Chanel looked slightly darker, slightly darker. It's so difficult. I'm just going to swatch them all over again and we shall see. So this is the Les Beige. I'm going to take my finger, rub it around, swatch. Now I'm opening the Soleil de Chanel. Oh my gosh. Seriously? Okay. Not something I would recommend doing. Okay, for this one I'm going to use my ring finger, swirling it around the same amount. I don't know what to say. They look the same. The Les Beige maybe looks a little bit more brown. Let me try that again. So I'm going to build it up a second time. I'm going back into Soleil de Chanel. This time I'm going to drag it across. So that's 2 coats of Soleil de Chanel. Using middle finger. And then here is 2 coats lay beige. I'm so torn. I'm thrown by this color swatch. I don't understand. In the little viewfinder, it does look like this one could be a little bit different. But then in person, when I'm looking at my arm, they look the same. I will play devil's advocate with you and say that maybe they are slightly different, but you cannot tell me that these are clearly different, that they are drastically different. I'm looking at them as close as can be, and they look so similar, if not the same. Now, because we know the ingredients are different, it makes sense that it's not going to be an exact match, but this is pretty darn close, and as soon as you blend this out, I'm not sure you would be able to see that difference that I know some of you are seeing. I mean, now that it's blended out, do you still see a huge difference? I don't. So now I'm really curious if any of you guys watching figured out at the beginning of today's video that I'm wearing a different bronzer on each side of my face. Any of you guys who say that the color is really different, could you actually tell on my skin? Drop me a comment, let me know. I am very curious to hear from you guys. But I think that's the most important test, is seeing these bronzers on skin in action, head to head against one another. So I am going to show you what it looks like when I apply one bronzer to this side of my face and the other bronzer to this side of my face. Right now, all I have on my face is foundation, and I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. Every time I've tried the new Lay Beige bronzer, I've used a different foundation just to see if it would make a difference. So far, it hasn't. So on this half of my face, I'm going to bronze using the new Lay Beige cream bronzer, and then on the left side of my face, which I think will be your right side, but on this side of my face, I'm going to bronze using the Soleil Tan de Chanel. That way we'll be able to see if there is a visible difference when they're applied to the skin. I'll be using the same smoothing face brush from Bare Minerals. I've been cleaning it with a little makeup removing wipe. So here I'm just picking up a little Lay Beige like I normally would. I generally always stipple whenever I'm applying it. I never drag. Looks really smooth. It's pretty incredible how smooth it looks. It's not incredibly dark, I will say that. It's giving me a little bronze, but if you have a medium skin tone, I don't think this is going to show up on you. It's barely showing up on me. The foundation shade is 6.75 medium. I chose this shade because it's somewhere in the middle. It's not dark enough to where it really matches me when I've sunless tan, but it's way darker than my natural pale shade, so it's kind of right there in the center. It's not too pale, it's not too dark. I think that's basically as dark as it's going to get. I can try applying a little bit more, try to really build it up. But one thing I noticed when I applied this all over my face as a base is that it's pretty transparent. So this is me building it up a little bit more, and that's as dark as it's going to get. I could just keep layering and layering, but it's not going to get any darker. It's just going to start to feel really thick and probably terrible on my skin. I'll be very interested to watch this video back when I'm editing later to see if there is a noticeable difference. When I'm looking close in the mirror, this side does look like it's a little bit bronzed, slightly warmer than this side, but it's just not that dark. It looks very smooth, it looks really natural, my skin looks very nice. It's just not incredibly bronzed. I just cleaned my brush off, so on the left side of my face, I'm going to bronze using the original Soleil Tan de Chanel. So that's sort of interesting. Right now, the only difference that I can make out is that the original Soleil Tan de Chanel seems to be slightly more matte, whereas this side, the new Le Beige Cream Bronzer, has a little bit more reflection. It's certainly not luminous, but maybe it's a luminous matte. This side is very matte. I think that's as far as I can build it up. I'm going to try to add a little bit more product. But just like the other side, it's not really getting darker at this point. I'm just layering more product. I'm making it more opaque. But it's not giving me any more bronze. See, this is why it's really important not to judge by the swatch, but to apply it to the face. I did not see this coming. The Soleil Tan de Chanel side is far more matte, and it almost has more of a cool tone. It's looking a little bit muddy versus this side, and I actually prefer the finish of this side. I think it looks far more natural, whereas this side, it has that cool muddy undertone, but because it's more of a matte finish, it also just looks sort of dull. It looks a little bit more dull, whereas this side reflects light in a natural way. It's not luminous, but it looks like my skin. I stand by my belief that the colors are similar. I know some people say that they can tell that there is a difference, but once it's on the skin, it's marginal. You really cannot detect any difference in the color. The only difference I can see is this is maybe slightly more cool. And I really can't tell if it looks that way because the finish is different. This looks almost like it has a powdery finish. The original Soleil Tan de Chanel unfortunately wasn't dark enough for some people, and the new bronzing cream isn't going to be dark enough for some people. That's just the way it is right now, unfortunately. Hopefully in the future they will expand the shade range, because this barely works for me as a bronzer, and I'm not exactly medium or dark complected. I have very light skin. But I'm going to turn down the lights a little bit and I'm going to lean in, and you tell me, what do you think? My makeup is now totally complete, and the slight difference I could see earlier has disappeared. Both sides look exactly the same. I'm going to drop my light one more time and lean in. That way you can see the finished result. The most popular way to use a cream bronzer is on top of your foundation, just like you would use a powder bronzer. As you saw, I went in with my foundation first, and then I sort of buffed and stippled this anywhere that I wanted to add some extra warmth, add color to my complexion. I don't like to use this on top of powder. It can be done, but I think that always gets messy, regardless of what cream, what formula you're using. So I would recommend going with your foundation, your cream bronzer. Then I like to go in with my concealer, and then I'll set my concealer with a little powder. And if you wanted to set your cream bronzer with a powder bronzer, you could do that as well. You just want to make sure that you tap and you go in with a very light fluffy brush. Nothing that's going to move the cream products. That's always the case. That is not unique to the new Le Beige bronzing cream. You can also use it as a makeup base. So a lot of people don't know this, but Soleil Tan de Chanel was called the bronzing makeup base because you could apply this all over your face underneath your foundation to give you a healthy bronze glow. So if you sunless tan your body and not your face, like I do, I could go in with this cream bronzer underneath my foundation and then go in with a foundation. To show you what that looks like, I used my Ivory Beige 5.6 Shade and Illuminate Soft Radiance Foundation from Tom Ford. And this is a good shade for me when I have sunless tanned. Another application technique you could use with this cream bronzer would be to only apply it where you want to bronze or contour underneath your foundation. And to show you what that looks like, I went in with my CC cream from By Terry. This shade matches me when I'm very fair, so I wanted you to be able to see that you can create a contrast even if you go underneath your foundation and then just apply your foundation around the bronzer, blend it out for a very natural looking coverage. I've used the new Beige Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream for the past 3 days now. I've used it with a light coverage, medium coverage, a full coverage foundation. I've used this with an oil-based foundation, with a water-based foundation. Overall, I think that the two products that we are really comparing today, the Beige versus Soleil de Chanel, are far more similar than they are different. Yes, the ingredients are different, and if you cannot use hydrogenated coconut oil in any of your skincare or makeup products, then this isn't going to work for you, and that is truly unfortunate. It is. If that's not the case, I think in a blind test, most people would fail. A lot of people would be tricked who are up in arms right now because they are very similar. They operate in the same way. They function the same way. You can do the same things with each of them. Something worth mentioning, I noted this in my collection review, but in case you missed that video, the new Beige has an expiration date of 12 months once the jar is open, whereas the original Soleil de Chanel had 18 months to be used. So the expiration window is slightly smaller. You still have an entire year. I keep checking. Every time I've applied this cream bronzer, I keep checking. I am diligent about looking at my skin, surveying the situation. I feel like I've been really thorough in my review. I've only had it for a couple days, but I've tried it in so many different scenarios with different foundations. I really like the new formula, and I think most people are going to be incredibly happy with it. And that completes today's review. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, your questions down below. I'm sure I didn't clarify everything, so if you have a question, drop it down in the comment section. I will do my very best to find answers for you. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned, everything on my face down in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.